Well, good morning. I am going to give you the lesson on Learning Target 0.4 right now. This document is in your Google Classroom. Also, this document is in your Google Classroom. I'll be using both of those to take notes. I'll be using this document for 2 days for 0.4 and 0.5, so hang on to it. I also have them printed out in class if you would like to grab them there. So let's get started. Learning Target 0.4 says identify and name three-dimensional figures. So I want you to be able to, when we're done with this, explain the difference between polyhedron and non-polyhedron and give examples of each. Okay, so let's start with polyhedra. That's plural. So what is a polyhedron? Well, a polyhedron is a 3D figure with faces that are all polygons. Okay, so luckily you already know what a polygon is. A polygon has straight sides, all straight sides, and a closed figure. So if you see a three-dimensional figure where the faces are not all straight sides, then that is not a polyhedron. And we'll look at examples in a moment. Well, let's pull one out right now. Okay, so look at these two. These two, do you see how this one, these are not polygons. These are not straight sides and closed, these faces. But this one is a polygon, has polygon faces, so this is a polyhedron. Non-polyhedron, polyhedron, okay? Look at these two. How about these two? You see anything rounded about any of these? No. Then these are polyhedron as well. Let's look at these two, okay? So I'm going to pause the video right now and have you tell me if the blue 3D figure is a polyhedron or not, the blue one. Okay, we're back. The blue one is definitely a polyhedron because it has all polygon faces, okay? And so you probably figured out that this one is a non-polyhedron because it has a non-polygon face, okay? All right, so let's just talk about polyhedron for a moment and forget about the non for a second. So there are two types of polyhedron. There are prisms and there are pyramids, okay? So let me show you an example of each. Okay, so based on your knowledge, just in general, your instinctive knowledge, which one of these do you think, red or green, is a pyramid based on what you've seen in the world? Which one, red or green, is a pyramid? Just take an educated guess. Okay, so I bet most of you, if not all of you, picked the green one to be the pyramid. Why? Because when someone says pyramid, this is what you picture. You picture something coming to a point. So this is a pyramid, and this is also a pyramid because they both come to a point at the top and they have polygon faces. So if these two are pyramids because they come to a point, why don't we call this one a pyramid? Well, the reason we do not call this one a pyramid is because it has a non-polygon face. So that means this is not a polyhedron. So we wouldn't call it a prism or a pyramid, but certainly not a pyramid. So these two are pyramids because they come to a point, right? And because they have all polygon faces. So that means this type that does not come to a point, these are what we call prisms. So let's talk about the details of prisms and pyramids for a moment. So a prism has two congruent bases that can be any type of polygon. It has to be a polygon, right? Because if it isn't a polygon, it's a non-polyhedron. So two congruent bases that can be any type of polygon. Okay, so in the case of this yellow one, the bases are triangles. We have two triangles, one on each end. Okay, and notice that the other faces are what shape. I'm going to pause the video So my bases are triangles, but my bases can be whatever polygon I want. But the lateral faces, the other faces, what shape are they? Okay, so hopefully you said rectangle. Okay, I'm going to write that down here. And lateral faces are rectangles. And that's true in any prism. So look at this prism, okay? This is a prism because it has two bases, right? What are the shapes of the bases? Well, there are six-sided bases. So these are hexagons. So hexagon, hexagon, and then look at the lateral faces are all rectangles. Okay? Same with this. This is a little bit harder to see because they're all rectangles, right? So we have two rectangular bases, but the lateral faces are all rectangles. Okay, so now when we are naming a polyhedron, the first thing we want to do is determine if it's a pyramid or a prism. Okay, so I think you have that part down, right? If it comes to a point like the red one, it's a pyramid. If it doesn't, it's a prism. So once you know if it's a pyramid or a prism, you just put the name of the base. So in this case, okay, this would be a hexagonal prism. This would be a triangular prism. So looking at this example here on my paper, my base is what I'm outlining in green right now. And my base has 5 sides, so I would call this a pentagonal prism. Okay, and we name pyramids in a similar way, but let's define pyramids first. So a pyramid, here's a pyramid again, comes to a point, has polygon faces. A pyramid has one base rather than the two that the prism has. And that one base can be any polygon. Okay, so that one base can be any polygon. In this case, here's a pyramid. This base is a triangle. Here is another pyramid. This base is a rectangle, right? So what, I didn't need to pull that away. So if this is a pyramid, a rectangular pyramid, what shape are the lateral faces on a pyramid? So here's the base on this pyramid. What shape are the lateral faces? Okay? What shape are the lateral faces on a pyramid? Okay, well hopefully you notice that these are all triangular lateral faces. So we'll write that in our notes. And lateral faces are triangles. And we name these similarly to the way we name prisms. Okay, first we identify that it is a pyramid because it comes to a point. Then we look at the base. What shape is the base? In this case, the base is a rectangle, so we would call this a rectangular pyramid. Okay, and we would call this one, it's a pyramid, right? Because it comes to a point. We would call this one a triangular pyramid. Okay, so those are the polyhedron naming protocols. Let's talk about non-polyhedron. Actually, these are probably somewhat easier because you probably know a lot of these. When the faces are not all polygons, the figures are not polyhedron. So I'm just going to name for you the 3 common non-polyhedra. Well, this one is a ball, right, basically, but we call it a sphere. Okay, this one, I bet you know what this one's called. It's called a cone. And this one looks like a can, right? And this one is a cylinder. So these are non-polyhedra because they have non-polygon faces. These are polyhedra because all of the faces are polygons. So polyhedra are separated into prisms and pyramids. Okay, remember, pyramid, comes to a point, just like you picture a pyramid, like an Egyptian pyramid. The non-polyhedra, we're just going to deal with spheres, cones, and cylinders. Okay, so that's all I'm going to write on this paper today. I'm going to pull out this other sheet that just has a bunch of three-dimensional pictures drawn, figures drawn, and it's just asking you to name each figure. So let's go through a few of these together. Okay, so you're looking at number 1, if you can't see this, but you should have this printout in front of you. Now you can tell this isn't a pyramid because, let me turn on the lights. Well, let's start with this. Looking at problems 1 through 8. I'm going to pause the video. You tell me which one looks like a pyramid to you. 1 or ones. There might be more than one. So out of 1 through 8, which one or ones look like pyramids to you? Okay, we're back. Hopefully you looked at these pretty closely, and in 1 through 8 you should have noticed that 5 and 7 come to a point and they have polygon faces. Okay, so these two would be pyramids. These 3 are non-polyhedra. Okay, so that makes these 3 prisms. Okay, so let's look at number 1. This is a prism. So what is the shape of the base? Well, you can pick any bases you want here. I'm going to pick these 2. So what's that shape? Well, we call that a rectangle. So this is a rectangular prism. Okay, number 2 is not a polyhedron. It is a non-polyhedron, and we call number 2 a sphere. Okay. Number 3 is also a prism. What I want you to do when I pause this video is look very closely at which shape do I only have 2 of, because that is the base. So right now I want you to answer, I'm going to pause, which polygon in number 3 of all the faces, which polygon are there 2 of? Okay, there are 2 triangles. This triangle and the one right behind it. So this is what we call a triangular prism. All right, number 4 is a non-polyhedra, right? Because it has rounded sides, or faces, I mean, which means they are not polygons. So this one is called a cylinder. Number 5, we already said was a pyramid. It has one base. A pyramid has one base. So you just have to figure out what the name of the base is and put it in front of the word pyramid. Well, the base has 6 sides, which makes it a hexagon. So this is a hexagonal pyramid. Okay. Number 6 is a prism, right? We already said that because it doesn't come to a point. So since it's a prism, you need to figure out what we have 2 of. We have 2 of these. And what shape is that? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. A 5-sided polygon is called a pentagon. So this is a pentagonal prism. All right, number 7 we said was a pyramid. So you can go ahead and write down the word pyramid if you want. Or you can wait to figure out the base. And then the base is right below the tip of the pyramid, right? And what's the shape of the base? Well, the shape of the base is a triangle. So this is a triangular pyramid. Number 8, we already did one like this. This is a non-polyhedron, and we call it a cylinder. Okay? Let's do a couple more. In number 9, I'm going to pause the video right now. For number 9, I want you to tell me, is this a prism or a pyramid? Or not a polygon at all? I didn't mean not a polygon. Not a polyhedron at all. So prism, pyramid, or a non-polyhedron. All right, we're coming back. All of the faces have polygon shapes, which makes this either a prism or a pyramid. It does not come to a point, so it's a prism. And then we look at the shape of the two bases. Well, the two bases are right here. And those are five-sided polygons, so we call this a pentagonal prism. All right, let's look at number 11. Number 11 comes to a point, so we know this is a pyramid. That's how we picture pyramids. So we look at the shape of the base to figure out what word to put in front of pyramid. 1, 2, 3, 4, five-sided polygon base makes this a pentagonal pyramid. Okay? All right, let me try this side, see if there's anything different. I'm going to pause the video right now and have you attempt which one? How about number 17? Okay, coming back, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are all of these faces polygons? The answer is yes to that, which makes it either a prism or a pyramid. This is not how we picture pyramids because it doesn't come to a point. So this is going to be a prism. And then we have to figure out what shape we have two of. And we have two triangles. Okay, so this is a triangular prism. All right, I'm going to pause the video real quickly and have you do number 19 real quick. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you look at these figures is say to yourself, does this figure have all polygon faces? And the answer to that is no to this one. So it's a non-polyhedron and it is a sphere. All right, last one for these set of notes. I want you to do number 20 real quickly, and I'll give you a second for that. Okay, so again, you want to look at the faces of this figure, and you want to say to yourself, are they all polygons? The answer to that is yes. Since they are, it's either a pyramid or a prism. It comes to a point, so it is a pyramid. And then after you determine it's a pyramid, you look at its base. It's one base. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides makes this a hexagonal pyramid. Okay? I'm going to pause the video one more time and ask you the standard question, and that is, how do you feel about naming these 3D figures? All right. Well, hopefully you gave me some insights. I'm hoping everybody did well with it. You do have a worksheet to do. It's called Learning Target 0.4 Assignment, I believe, and that should be in Google Classroom. And you might have even grabbed a copy of it already from class. All right, you guys, take care. I'll see you for 0.5.